So you want to learn about the history of calculus. Now, what is calculus? Who discovered it? Why do we care? And quite frankly, I don't. But because you're here, I have to pretend that I do. According to Google, calculus is something called a network error. And after fighting with Flash Fiber for 2 hours and getting my internet to work, I discovered that my history teachers lied. Some people say that it was Newton that discovered calculus. Others say Leibniz. While those people will partially be correct, I actually learned that from my research that it took many people prior to them to help discover calculus. One of these people is actually none other than Pythagoras himself. Pythagoras is the one that discovered how the hypotenuse relates to the right triangle's sides, thus giving us the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now this is mainly used throughout algebra and geometry, but it's also used in calculus. After Pythagoras, Archimedes came along. Now Archimedes was the first one to calculate pi and understand limits. He's also the same person that learned the method in order to use water to describe something's density. Pierre Fermat came in after them. He's the one that's responsible for discovering a method in order to find maxima and minima on a graph. Then we get to Isaac Newton here. Now Isaac Newton is the real MPV here. He's the first one to actually take a deep dive into calculus. The calculus that he created is used in all areas of study, such as physics, chemistry, and even economics. In fact, he actually invented calculus, or discovered it, while he was working with physics. He was sitting on a bench when an apple fell down next to him. And he asked the question, why did it fall down? Why didn't it fall sideways? Why didn't it fall up? Why down? And so he started working on it. And that's what led him to gravitational forces, which then pushed him into calculus. Now the thing is, he discovered all this stuff, but decided to keep quiet about it. So he didn't tell anybody about his discoveries. And that became an issue later. Because shortly after Isaac Newton discovered calculus, Leibniz came around. Now Leibniz was very open about his research. He let everybody know about it. But Leibniz actually created and discovered calculus at the same time as Newton, completely independent of him. Isn't that coincidental? Since Leibniz was more open about who discovered calculus in all his research and writings, people believe Leibniz more than they believe Newton about who invented calculus. But the point being is that they're both credited for it because they found that Isaac Newton did in fact show his papers to his friends and other people, so that gave him some credit there. However, Leibniz is credited with creating the integral calculus. He's the one that's responsible for creating the integral symbol and creating the dy dx. So what's the big deal? Why is calculus so important? Well, calculus deals, like I said before, with the rate of change. And everything in our world tends to change very rapidly. So calculus deals with the rate of change in respects to time. Calculus plays a huge role in things like engineering, communications, and even space exploration, which is my personal favorite. So really the two people that actually created or discovered calculus is mainly just Isaac Newton and Leibniz. And the reason being is because, while Pythagoras and Archimedes and Pierre did substantial work in defining certain things that we use in calculus, Isaac Newton and Leibniz are the ones that actually kind of compiled that together and invented calculus as a whole. So they get the most credit for it. And those other people do, like I said, play a good role. But, Isaac Newton and Leibniz did everything. So, altogether, the discovery of calculus cannot be just boiled down to one person or two people, which is Isaac and Leibniz. It's a collection of a bunch of different people combined together. Like Pythagoras gave us the Pythagorean theorem, which is mainly used in algebra, and algebra plays a big role in calculus. And Archimedes, he came along and he gave us, pi. He calculated pi, which is a big playing role in calculus. And he also created the limits. So there's that. And then Pierre, he discovered the maxima and the minima of a graph, which is also extremely important when you're trying to, And then we get to Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton, like I said, he played a massive role in discovering calculus. In fact, pretty much he's credited with inventing calculus because of it. And of course, you can't forget Leibniz. Leibniz also invented calculus at the same time, but both are credited for it, so that's a good thing. So that's the history of calculus. Did you like it? I didn't.